and the committee chairs who worked for almost 2 years to make this law real, and all the House and Senate Democrats who stood together and never, ever, ever gave up. This couldn't have happened without every single one of you, and that's in the literal sense in the Senate. Every single one was required because the other team didn't want to play. And all our distinguished guests, CEOs, advocates, activists, thank you for joining us. And what a great day. Exactly 4 weeks ago today, I signed the Inflation Reduction Act into law, a single most important legislation passed in the Congress to combat inflation and one of the most significant laws in our nation's history, in my view. I said it then, and I'll keep saying it. With this law, the American people won and special interests lost. Say it again. The American people won and special interests lost. Folks, we're going to lower prescription drug costs, lower health insurance costs, lower energy costs for millions of families. I'm going to take the most aggressive action ever to confront the climate crisis and increase our energy security, ever in the whole world. And that's not hyperbole, that's a fact. We're going to build a future, the future, here in the United States of America, with American workers, with American companies, with American-made products. And after years of some of the biggest corporations in the United States paying zero in federal income tax, they'll now have to begin to literally pay their fair share. Today offers proof that the soul of America is vibrant, the future of America is bright, and the promise of America is real. It is real. It is real. This is an extraordinary story being written today in America by this administration as I step all over my coat. Good thing my mom's not around. Folks, look. Elected officials who stood up to the millions of dollars in attack ads from special interests, business leaders who were willing to endure the criticism of many of their colleagues, and so many people who fought for years to lower prescription drug prices and tackle the climate crisis. This is your victory. This is your victory. And that's a fact. And you deserve a huge round of applause. Give them applause, all these people who stood up. Every one of them. And let's hear it for the workers in the labor unions, mayors and local officials, environmental activists, students and young people, advocates for senior citizens and families. This is what it looks like when the American government works for the people. When we tell the powerful interests, no, you're not going to get your way. This time, not this year, not this time, not now. This bill will lower the deficit. This bill alone is going to lower the deficit by $300 billion over the next decade because it's going to pay less for prescription drugs. And that's on top of the $350 billion we reduced the deficit my first year, $350 billion reduction. And for this fiscal year, $1.5 trillion reduction in the deficit. So I don't want to hear it anymore about big spending Democrats. We spend, but we pay. Ladies and gentlemen, the last guy had this job, well, let me put it this way. This bill finally delivers on a promise that I've made to the American people for decades. But Republicans choose not to join us. In the end, every single Republican voted against this historic law. So it fell to the Democrats to meet this moment and deliver for the American people. And that's exactly what we did. We pay more for our prescription drugs than any developed nation in the world. Let me say that again. In America, we pay more for prescription drugs than any developed nation in the world. And there's no rhyme or reason to that. For years, so many of us have been trying to fix this problem. But for years, Big Pharma blocked Medicare from negotiating lower drug prices. But not this year. Not this year. This year, the American people won, and Big Pharma lost. It only cost $10 for this prescription to be made and packaged. $10. And drug companies charge families about 30 times more than that for every vial of insulin. Look, I'm deadly earnest about this. Imagine being a mom or a dad. Looking at your child, you know the needs of insulin to live, and not having the money to pay for it. Not a joke. Think about it. Think about what you'd think about at the time. Think about how you'd feel if you didn't have the insurance and didn't have the money. It's wrong. It's not who we are, and we're going to fix that too.